All right. If everything's going smoothly, we should be live. I'm just gonna do some checking on my end. Yep, everything should be set. So, welcome everybody. Today's just gonna be a chill stream going on, a bit of a drawcast. So, we're just gonna be drawing some stuff. Maybe if anyone wants to hop in, I'll invite some people. But for the most part, it's just gonna be me drawing some stuff. Um, the last drawcast I'd say went pretty well. So we're just gonna get started here. Got off of work myself not too long ago. Um, for anyone who might know me knows I live in the LA area and we're going through a bit of a hellstorm right now, but I'm doing all right. My family's doing all right. So uh, we're just here to chill, have some fun, get our minds off of things, and hopefully everyone else is doing all right. So I'm just gonna get set up here. And then I'm just start sharing my screen. Let's see. As well. Alrighty, so everything should be set up there. Let me just enlarge this so that it doesn't look too jittery or blurry. So, welcome guys. We're gonna start drawing here. So today's theme is obviously Kaiju, and we're gonna start one from scratch. So let's just see what we got going on here. Now, when it comes to Kaiju, I usually just go with what I like or what I think would look cool. I usually all right. There you go. So usually, let's see, what are some ideas we can come up with? Let's see, we'll probably do maybe one of your basic kaiju. I always like going with something that's more dinosaurian. So let's see. I usually start off with like a box for a head since that'll get us somewhere defining the shape. When it comes to doing, drawings like this, I usually have a method where I just go with some basic shape to start out. So like I start ahead with the box. I basically set up where the neck's gonna go. Start with a circle for the chest, and almost like a triangular shape for the body. I'll just move it around to keep it in proportion so I know what's gonna go where. And learning this takes some practice, so don't feel bad if you don't get it at first, because it takes a while to get the muscle memories in your head. Like I've done these shapes over and over again. For one, because I practice, and another is just because I like it. So some digitigrade legs. That's all. basically learn what the basic outline in something is. So like a leg will have these certain shapes, and then you can stylize it any way you want. And so like it looks pretty messy, but as soon as you get the form there, you'll start to get an idea of what this thing can look like. There's the bird tail. Check to see if there's any music playing, because I thought I put on some music. I don't know if I can hear it, but let me just see if it's playing. Just on the regular YouTube, so just to see if I can hear it. Let's see. All right, so hopefully the music is inviting enough for you. And starting out with some shoulders. We got our arms going on there. So, like I said, basic shapes that you learn from muscle memory. And then from there, you'll just learn how to stylize it on your own. Like, I think I've come up with a pretty nifty style here that sort of, it's just a way I like it. I'm still struggling to really figure out what my style is, because I take a blend of a little bit of everything from like anime to cartoons and stuff like that. That's just what I like. I just put them together because I think it would look good if more stuff like that was out there. So eventually down the line, it's the kind of stuff I want to pull out or put out into the world. Because I think the style lends itself to when you can simplify things to certain visual cues that people will find appealing. You know, there's enough detail there that it doesn't look like a flat like rendering of a drawing or anything, but it's simple to that it's easy to animate and easy to get a grasp or a read on. So I'll just have that going on there. And right now, this is more so just like my process there. If you saw the last stream I did a while ago, like just the other year, then you'll know like a little bit of my process here and how I get these shapes. So right now we basically have this generic dinosaurian shape here. Back out. So you guys get a clear view, but here we have my basic dinosaur shape. Now, sometimes when you're doing a kaiju, depending on how far you want to go with it, you might want to steer clear of like being too generic, but the key is just adding things on to where it sort of fleshes out the character you're making, because you're really just making a character. So you want to give it personality, traits that are unique to it, and you can do like homages and stuff, but you want to get enough so that it stands on its own. So it just depends on the shapes you use, the features you add, what inspirations you're getting. And since we're building this from scratch, we don't really have any clear inspirations other than your generic kaiju shape. And so just coming up with things to add. So let's see, where do I want to go from here? So sometimes you'll want to go on things like Pinterest or look at, illustration magazines, stuff like that. And and so for example, you might want to add spikes, because that's like a staple in the kaiju genre, to where you'll just add decorative spikes, because those are always cool. And the rule of cool is always something to live by, because whatever you think is cool, you should always like just throw it on to see what happens. You may want to add more here, just so it's consistent along the back. And maybe want to have different lengths in certain parts. So like that. See, there you go. You're already starting to, get more of a kaiju shape going on, so that it's just not like, your generic dinosaur shape, which on its own can be cool if that's like the story you want to tell of like a dinosaur creature, but still have it be a little bit unique. Apart from that, that's always a good route to go. But if you want to make it more like kaiju-fied, add things like this that you often do see in nature. Nature's always a good thing to pull from, because there's some like crazy animals, especially reptiles, to where you can get crazy with it if you're going with like a reptilian kaiju. Like every, I don't know, like different species of different animals can, have wild traits within each other. So it'll be interesting to see. You'll just want to fidget around with the proportions. I typically do when it comes to my drawings. Like, I'll mess with the proportions a bit just to make everything look right. And That way, you can just have something you like at the end of the day. One thing I do like is having like horns or spikes on the face because I think that looks cool. One of my favorite reptiles are like rhinoceros iguanas. Those guys look cool and they have like these spikes all over their body that look like rhinos. And so you'll be able to get a lot out of referencing from reptiles for monsters because they're always cool guys to take reference from. They have like spikes going along their eyes and all over their cheeks, if those are cheeks, if you want to call them that. And so don't be worried about having any too much detail because you'll want to just get the basic shape going when it comes to drawing kaiju. You can flesh it out later and then mess with the proportions again. Just so everything looks right in place and you'll be able to have your shapes going on there. So you have something coming into form. And then flip the image just to make sure you're drawing everything nice and neat so that it doesn't lean to one side or anything like that. And you'll erase lines, add new ones, stuff like that, just to make sure everything's correct there. Now that I have like my basic shapes all laid out, I can just go in and erase whatever I don't need. That way I'll have room to go back in and add any more details I want to do so I can flesh out the kaiju character. Because remember, at the end of the day, these are all characters in your worlds, in your stories. And you'll want to make sure that you have a story to tell. So if anyone asks, oh, what's this guy's deal? You know, you'll have something to say. And so like that. You always want to add some details to flesh it out. Make sure it's got something going on. So here we have in full what we got so far. Oftentimes I end up coming with a design before I come up with the name. So let's see if anyone can come up with a name for this guy. Because I can always visualize in my head what I want the kaiju to look like. But once I'm done with it, I have no idea how to come up with a name. So anyone can throw out suggestions at this point, and we'll see which one fits. Because coming up with a kaiju name is very important. Because you can go like the route of something either super creative or something obvious. Because one one uh, one interesting piece of media that I think has some cool kaiju names is the Pacific Rim franchise. Like Otachi, Leatherback, Karloff, and they have different ways to name it. They'll name it based on like a different actor or like either features for a like from the kaiju's body or design. I think or like something it did, like the first kaiju I believe in the Pacific Rim franchise to ever attack is called Trespasser. So they'll have names that fit there, either descriptions or they'll have something homaging either an actor or a certain person. So like if this guy's got like huge spikes on his back, it could be named like Sickleback or something like that, which it sounds like a pretty good name right there. And you saw before, like if there was a replay of it, you'll see we went from like scribbly scratch to a pretty well-defined kaiju here we got going on, although we still have a long way to go. It's got like a like big, thick necks, because it's not all fat in there. Because if you know reptiles, you know that even if they're chunky, it's not all fat, it's mostly muscle. These muscles here all control the jaws, which is what, like, if you look at any alligator that has like thick neck and cheeks, it's gonna have, those are all muscle. It's all muscle that goes into the reptiles, which is what I think is pretty cool about them. And so when you're making a reptilian kaiju, make sure you don't make him too skinny or too, bristle. You can have them be sleek and lean, but just don't make them too like skinny to the point where like you can see bones or something, because that usually means like for any animal really it's not eaten. So make sure you give it lots of muscle, because it needs those muscles to walk, run, fly, do anything really to make it look lethal. So let's see. So we have the head pretty detailed. Got the spines going along the back here. And so what we have left is the body. Now usually for the body, you can vary it out a bit. So like there's different ways to add detail for scales. Like I said, I work in a more simpler style. So if you do things like this, like that gives the impression of like scales going along the body. Stuff like that, and it adds a little detail that's when you're animating you can easily just repeat the same image again. And sometimes reptiles will have some cool larger scales going on here that you can add. These are like thick osteoderms, so you can basically do that. And it looks like thick armor. There's like armor on the biceps here, which is something I like to do. Most of my kaiju can have stuff like that. And the right jaw mines, where their skin stretches. The shoulder. And whenever you do an eye, you can go different ways. So you can do like an eye like this, or some reptiles have eyes that are like slits. Which is interesting because a snake or any reptile's eyes can dilate. So it can go from like a slit to like a circular one. That looks pretty cool. Probably stick with that. And then we can go into detail with teeth. I like to have my teeth exposed just because it's the kind of stuff I grew up with. So anything from like, Godzilla 98 to Jurassic Park with the T-Rex. You can just go wild with it. So you have something cool like that. Just go in. There's bits where the mouth was, or the line of the mouth. Cool like that. Big armor scales there. Definition of the mean. So far, like I said, you just want to add details like that so that you step away from anything too generic to where it starts giving it character more than just your typical dinosaur going on. Because with dinosaurs we have a pretty good idea of what most of them look like. Some are still a mystery, so it's fun to play with that and speculate. But with kaiju, you can everything's your playground, because you can take any inspiration from anything, like dinosaurs, extinct animals, stuff like that, like living reptiles today. So So like, the world's your playground, essentially. And you can do with it what you want, and make something that realistically might never exist, but the fact, that's fiction. Some might call it peak fiction. Which in my book is just the greatest demonstration of imagination to create a fictionalized happening. I think we have just about enough to where we can clean up. So, just a few more details to go through. See, I'll have a nice, cleaner sketch of what this thing can look like. That's more scales here. Oh, there we have a cleaner sketch. Go. So we have our basic kaiju going on there. Let's see. Looks like it's still. You could with adding a few more details. Just stuff to fill in the space that you can also fill in with color or anything like that. And you'll have a pretty good amount of detail for something like that. Of course, this is typically speaking within like a cartoonist point of view, because if you're the kind of guy who likes to do more realistic type of stuff, you can still take away some of the pointers here, but you're mostly gonna want to delve into stuff and practices that lean more towards realism. This is gonna be mostly for, you know, cartoonish styles, anime, stuff like that. And now we have a nice sense of the scope. So I can do with a little more of the crotch area right here. So it's nicely proportioned with the body. There we go. Maybe we can do more spikes. That's always cool. You're just right to that. Just found some. Oh, there you go. And let's see. Maybe we can fidget with some of the proportions. Use the distortion tool. So now you see, looking how far we went, where we got the basic shapes down, to where it looked all like scribbles and stuff, to now we have basically a clean sketch here. As close as you'll get to one. And from there we can go to line art. Yeah, but remember, everything can be broken down into like a few shapes. So remember, the head's basically just a box. Take this away, the basic box. And from there you can make like anything you want. You can basically just make a whole new kaiju from this. See? And you can always flesh this out, make it something new. You can use it as a tool to where you'll basically get to make your own characters using just this template here. There you go.
Oh, he's right here. Yeah.
Actually, honestly, this is looking pretty cool. So I'm really liking what's going on here. So you see, so I guess, let's see. So Sickleback will probably be this character's name. And then, like I said, we probably want to come up with a story for him. So usually in my world, all the kaiju are basically going to be these ancient beasts that aren't mutated in any way, but maybe some can be. But most of them are just naturally evolved super species that most of them are that way due to them being in my version of basically the Hollow Earth, to where the animals there evolved to become larger, meaner, and essentially they're all basically either evolved dinosaurs, reptiles, mammals that found their way into the Hollow Earth and basically just made that place their home since they had that space to themselves. And something in there caused them to grow and in their own way naturally mutate and evolve. So you have Stickleback, who possibly derives from some species of dinosaur. And so you'll be able to, in your own world, your world building, you want to have a way for the monsters to exist. So whether they're mutated from regular animals or already pre-existing, monsters or super species that exist in the world. Especially just a way to have the groundwork laid out for you, so that basically just so that you have like the groundwork laid out. See that. Barely that. And I know. Okay. Oh my god. Already. Hopefully I'll be able to push out a few more streams from here on out, since as of late I've had more free time, since my job has been closing early, cutting a few shifts, since some of us are either affected in some way or the other from the fires, or people just aren't coming into the shop. But thankfully, most of us are doing all right. I know a few people who've had to evacuate and stuff, but we're all doing all right. All right, we'll probably come into about an hour or so, and with that, we'll call it a night. But yeah, there you go. So for anyone who tunes in after the fact, or for anyone who saw while they were in, you can see how like all it takes is some practice, and you'll be able to pump out like a clean drawing in like under an hour. So, and it's not always about speed, always take your time with things, but it does help to practice moving faster, drawing faster. But that can only happen once you get the basics down. So all of these basically are consistent shapes that I have practiced and drawn over and over again, to where I can basically do it on a dime from memory. Well, of course, having references is always important. I didn't look at any references today, so in a way you can say this is all from imagination, but it's imagination that I have because I've already seen references in my head, or that I've taken before. So like, how I said at the beginning, I've seen images of iguanas that have, spikes on their face all over. I know what crocodile looks like, so I can do like the teeth in this arrangement. I've done eyes like this, 98, Godzilla, or Lizzie from Rampage. They all influence this, as well as taking from the natural world. So, the animals look like this, monsters look like this, vice versa, and that all goes into the design here. I draw dinosaurs from time to time, so I know how most dinosaurs look. Most kaiju are based on dinosaurs or other animals like that, so it's easy to grab reference so that you can make a kaiju stand out like this. And so we started from a pretty generic outline of a basic dinosaur creature, to where we gave him features that fleshed him out, a basic story that we can go deeper into. And so, hand in hand, like, first right off the bat when we see this, He's got something to do with like giant monsters, dinosaurs, reptiles, stuff like that. So it's very easy to, get a story from a design because of how well a character design is made. Am I the best? I wouldn't say so, but I've gotten the hang of things where I know that I know where to go when it comes to how to do stuff right. And I think we've made a pretty interesting character here. Sickleback is what I guess we'll call him, because he has sickle-like spines along his back that he uses to, cut things, or for threat display, or if he's swimming in the water, because maybe this guy's pretty semi-aquatic, or he can swim anyway. And so when he's swimming around, he can cut ships or other kaiju as he's swimming along. He's got some long spikes on the tail so he can whip them and bludgeon them with his like Dagomizer-like spikes. And so even when you think about how a kaiju is going to fight, he's obviously going to use his claws because they're big and meaty. He can grapple, stuff like that. So coming up with the story is pretty entangled in the character design. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. Thanks to everybody who came in and watched. Anyone else who comes across the stream, they'll go up on the channel after the fact. Let me know what you thought. If you take away anything from this, if this stream helps you draw something or inspires you, tag me in it, post it. I'll see it. It's always fun to see. And next stream we'll probably get around to inking and coloring this guy so that we can do more fleshing out of his story and such. But thank you so much, Kaiju Seekers. My cat is going crazy in the background. But have a good night. If you're in the LA area or around any of the fires going on, stay safe out there. And just have hope, guys. So thanks for everything. Good night, guys. See you till next time, Kaiju Seekers.